If you have ever caught yourself waiting for someone's reply and feeling low because you haven't got their reply, or frantically switching between social media platforms, waiting for notifications to come through, or needing someone to say the right thing for you to feel good about yourself or just to feel okay in general, you are not alone. I am recovering from validation seeking, and I've spent years trying to feel enough just from trying to get other people's validation. And this has always left me feeling very empty and very stuck and disconnected. So recently, I have been learning something that has completely shifted my whole being. And I am really excited to share this with you because it has changed everything for me. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about that. So if that's something that you are interested in, then enjoy this video. One thing that I have been learning recently that has really cemented into my soul is that we are either thinking thoughts that are in alignment or rooted in fear or in love. And I think to myself, if it is that simple, then why does it feel so much more complicated than that? And I think the reason is because the ego is very tricky. It's a little trickster. It knows how to convince you that it is right, and it knows how to trick you so that you are back thinking those thoughts that are, or believing those thoughts that are rooted in fear. And one thing that I've learned from posting and being on YouTube is that when I'm feeling low or uninspired, it is almost always because I'm thinking thoughts about myself that I am not enough, that I'm not good enough as I am, or something along those lines. And I actually think that I started this whole journey of being a YouTuber. One of the reasons was, anyway, was to get validation. And I was constantly chasing this form of validation from the external world. And the more and more and the deeper I get into this journey, the more I realize that this is actually never going to fulfill me. The more I chase likes and praise and validation, the more stuck I actually get and the less inspired I feel. And the more bad thoughts I have, the more stuck I feel, the less I want to continue with this journey. So I have to bring myself back to a state where I'm at peace, because I am not going to continue with this journey if it is a detriment to my peace. And so my prayer recently has been to stay with that peaceful place, no matter what that looks like, to have less control over what the outcome looks like, and have more trust in the divine that whatever is going to happen is going to be right for me and is going to be even better than I could have even imagined myself. And when I let go of that control over what the outcome is going to look like, the more peace I feel, because I'm not trying so hard anymore. I'm just letting whatever is happening kind of flow out of me, and it definitely means that I'm going into more of a flow state. And when I'm in this place of peacefulness, it doesn't matter what people think of me. What matters is the energy that I bring to whatever it is that I'm creating. I really think it's so important that I bring my best self to anything that I'm creating and anything that I'm putting out there, because this is going to carry a frequency and it's going to affect how the project turns out. And if I am in that frequency of trying to control the outcome, being scared of what people think of me, then it's not going to translate as well, and it's going to affect my artwork. And when we come to our creations from that place of peace, we are able to spread this peace through our message of whatever it is that we are creating. What matters is how connected you are to your heart. Are you creating things that are spreading love or spreading fear, adding to the love on the planet or adding to the fear on the planet? And I don't know about you guys, but this is what makes me feel at the most peace, is knowing that I am creating something that is adding to the peace on the planet. This is going to look different for every person. You see, you can remind yourself to give your expectation of what is meant to happen over to God, over to the universe. And then you don't have to worry about what is going to happen, because things are so uncertain anyway. So why would I sit here and think about how I think it needs to turn out for me to feel good about myself. Why not just choose to feel good about myself in this moment? And I know that probably sounds so difficult to some people, and I completely get it, because our mind is so powerful, our ego is so powerful. It can convince us of the most horrific things about ourselves, and we really do talk to ourselves so badly. So being aware of when you are feeling those really difficult, tense feelings, and then noticing what it is that you're saying about yourself. Are you telling yourself that you're not enough? Are you telling yourself that you're a failure? Are you telling yourself that things are never going to work out for you? Just becoming aware of those thoughts is sometimes enough, most of the time enough, to bring you one frequency higher. And then we can start to nudge ourselves into a more positive direction. Not saying to skip shadow work. Sometimes there's a place to dive deeper and to reflect into why we are having these feelings about ourselves, really get into that root. But when we are aware of those things that we are telling ourselves, we are able to shift ourselves into a much higher vibration by, for one, having compassion, because remember, it's so normal to have these feelings and thoughts about yourself. Everyone is doing it. And if they're saying that they're not doing it, they're probably just not aware of it. You see, we have evolved with this part of ourselves, this ego that believes it is separate from each other. And so again, it is just so normal that you are having these thoughts. You are part of this fabric of reality that we are all connected into. And so each one of us is having a very similar experience on one level, and on another level having a very different experience. But at the root of it, we all have an ego, and that ego has evolved to keep us safe and protect us. And so it does what it can to give us this illusion that we are separate from each other. And it does that by either telling us that some days I'm better than the other person, or some days I am worse than the other person, comparing ourselves to others and comparing ourselves to the achievements that other people have, or the amount of money that someone else has, or the looks that someone else has, the personality that someone else has. Sometimes we're better, sometimes we're worse. How can that be? Because at the root, we're actually all the same thing. We all came from the same source, and we're all connected in the spiritual realms. There's this analogy that I really love in A Course in Miracles, and I think it was Marianne Williamson in her book A Mystic Jesus, which I've been listening to recently, which I highly recommend, guys, like, check it out. And it says how at the spiritual level we are all one, but we don't perceive things at the spiritual level. We perceive things from a physical level. And if you think about it as like a sun, actually, I just realized the analogy in the book was more like a wheel, but the one I'm going to give you is a sun, and this was from Till Swan, I just realized. So if you can imagine that that God is the middle of the sun, that light in the sun. And so this is our source, and off from this light is beams of light that come off and extend out, and at the end of these beams of light we appear separate as we have manifested into our physical form. But if you go inwards and really become conscious of your essence by traveling inwards and experiencing your inner world, that's where we are all connected, through the mind. I just want to let you know that I'm currently giving away a free gift. If, like me, you are always looking for brand new guided meditations, then this gift is perfect for you. This meditation, I believe, is the foundation for any spiritual work. It is perfect for helping you to relax into your body, build a relationship with your body, and become aware of anything that is blocking you from reaching your divine potential and hearing those intuitive messages that you get from your divine guidance. So if that sounds like something that you would love to eat up and listen to, then click the link in the description box so that you can get access to this MP3 whilst it is still available for free. Let's get back to the video. The funny thing is when we are believing these illusions that we are separate from one another, or that we are better or worse than someone else in some way, we actually end up feeling more alienated. And when we're comparing ourselves to others and we are focused on the external, we almost forget to really reach inside of ourselves and feel the true essence. Remember, actually, I think it was Eckhart Tolle said, it's not actually, the phrase my life isn't actually accurate because you don't have a life, you just are life. And so when we realize that we are life and every single other person on this planet is life, every plant is life, every animal is life, then at our core, we really are the same thing. So how can one person be better than another? And this is something also that I have been really tuning into recently and reminding myself of. I got this beautiful prayer, first of all from Caroline Miss Mays. And her prayer was, please allow me to see the divinity in others. Also, the word namaste, if you didn't know, it means the soul in me sees the soul in you. And then more recently, where I've been diving into the Course in Miracles, it speaks about how it's important to look for the divine in the other person. Even when you're experiencing a difficult situation with them, and this is when we are tested the most, is when we are confronted with someone else's consciousness, unconsciousness even. Because when another person is acting out of unconsciousness, we are easily pulled into this unconsciousness. Our aura is our energy field that extends outside of our body. And so when we are interacting with other human beings, we feel on a subconscious level, maybe on a conscious level, we feel what they are emitting, what they are expressing through their energetic body. And so when they are very unconscious, our energies are mixing. And that's why it's very crucial for us to be very aware of how someone else is expressing themselves. Is it unconscious? And if it is, to have such a strong energy body, meaning to be so conscious with our energy body, to not allow that other person to pierce into our consciousness and to be absorbed by their unconsciousness, so as to start becoming unconscious ourselves. Instead, if someone else has become very unconscious and we are able to stay conscious, that's where the magic and our power really lies. Because when we do that, we actually do gift to them. We are able to turn a situation and transform a situation. The law of a cause and effect begins on a mind level. So everything that we think, the energy that we bring from our mind, is going to have an effect on the situation and how it's going to play out. So every morning, and I've been doing this for years now, is that I will set up my day with the intention to stay conscious throughout the day. And I ask God, I ask the universe for help with that. I speak to God. And recently I have been even tuning in with Jesus because I love to learn about Jesus. Even though I'm not a Christian, the energy of Jesus Christ is beautiful. And even just saying his name, and I was listening to The Mystic Jesus yesterday, and something that I have noticed already, and that Marianne Williamson highlighted in her book, is that when you imagine Jesus, or you even say the word Jesus in your mind, notice how your field feels. Notice how your energy field feels when you are connected with him. and when you bring him into your awareness. And so recently what I've been doing is, because my morning practice is always changing, evolving as I go through life and what I maybe need for that day. And so recently what I've been doing is starting off my morning with those prayers. First of all, asking God to help me to see things in a more positive light, in a way where maybe I used to see limitation, or where I am more prone to seeing limitation. I ask God to help me to see things from a perspective where I can see the opportunity of the situation. The morning is so important. The way we set our minds up to be in the morning is going to set us up for the rest of the day. I remember someone saying that the morning is the childhood of the day. The level of impact that you can have on yourself by just doing a little morning practice in the morning. It doesn't have to be a whole hour. It could be 5 minutes of just talking to God, asking God to help you to stay conscious throughout the day, to stay present throughout the day, and to see the divine in others. That's really all you need. I do meditation, I do my breath work, I do all the things that I feel like I need that day, maybe a little bit of yoga or stretching, and I pray, because prayer is such a powerful thing. As I was saying about the law of cause and effect, everything starts in the mind. And so when we are praying, we are choosing which side we want to align ourselves with. And so we are consciously aligning ourselves with love instead of fear in the beginning of the day. And if you do that, you can watch how your life starts to transform. One of the most powerful things that I have recently been asking myself is when I'm going through a really challenging situation and I notice that I've shifted into fearful thinking, is to ask myself, what can I learn about this situation? Or what am I learning about this situation? Think back to a really difficult time. Let it be a few years ago. Do you regret that situation? Do you wish it didn't happen? Or do you feel like you learned something from it and it taught you something and helped you to evolve as a person? Let me know in the comments, because I'm really curious to know. And so what I like to do now is that, knowing that piece of wisdom that all of us have to learn at some point, is that how can I bring that energy into what I am doing now so that I can make that shift a lot quicker and I can learn something a lot quicker, and I can also help the process. I can be a support to my own learning whilst I'm going through that situation. It's a very conscious way to go through challenging situations. And of course, the ego likes to trick us and get us down sometimes, and sometimes I do forget. Sometimes I do go into a lower place. Life can be really hard, but we make it so much harder for ourselves by beating ourselves up, telling ourselves that we're not enough, telling ourselves that we're stupid or that we should be doing better, searching for validation and love outside of ourselves, and then being disappointed when it doesn't happen or we don't get it. It's literally such a vicious cycle. What if instead of doing that, we acted like our own big brother or our own big sister or mother or father? And when we notice that inner voice telling us that we are broken or there's something wrong with us, we become conscious of that voice and we choose to course correct. Not by shaming ourselves or telling ourselves that we're wrong for doing that, because that would be fighting fire with fire and creating more unconsciousness, but by compassionately loving ourselves when we are doing that. When we are speaking to ourselves like this, telling ourselves it's completely normal, you are having a human experience. And this is exactly where you're meant to be right now. If you are watching this video, you did come to this earth to help the species to evolve from this place of being completely identified by the ego into a new form of human being, which is one that moves forward from a place of love, compassion, spiritual awareness. And when we do this and we do send this compassion to ourselves, we start to become whole again. We start to realize how powerful we actually are in any given moment. And from that state, we no longer need the validation from others. In fact, we pour our love outwards to the world because we are overflowing with it. We simply know that we are enough, and we start to remind others of the same. And that is all for today's video. Peace, namaste, have a beautiful day.